Digo otra vez esta presentación. Por eso ayer estábamos hablando de esta hoja de gramática y no tuvimos tiempo para hablar de la última, pues las últimas dos páginas. Vamos a empezar aquí en la tercera página, que tiene el título Some Spelling Changing Verbs in the Preterite. Now this, I believe, if I am correct, this is not a new concept for you. How many of you say, yeah, old Haig, I agree with you, it's not a new concept? Only 2 of you, 3 of you? Okay, I was going to say, everybody should agree with me, this is not a new concept. If this seems like a new concept to you, then you're going to want to take better notes. Because we have discussed this previously. And the concept that we're about to discuss has to do with changing the spelling in order to facilitate pronunciation of the word. Because if we don't change the spelling of these words in certain forms in the preterite, we wind up with these funky diphthongs that are very difficult to pronounce. 3 vowels in a row. And it makes it very difficult to pronounce them. Okay, so let's look at this. The direction, or the bolded statement says ER and IR verbs whose stem ends in a vowel have a spelling change in the third person that's both singular and plural of the preterite, and all other forms have a written accent over the I of the ending. That's 2 different kinds of changes, but it's for the same purpose. Both of those points in the bolded statement accomplish the same thing. Let me read it again. ER and IR verbs whose stem ends in a vowel have a spelling change in the third person, singular and plural, of the preterite. And all other forms have a written accent over the I of the ending. Now, do you need for me to define the word stem here? Okay. Do you need me to define third person? Okay. So, it says here 5 verbs that I should know that behave this way are. These are the ones listed in your text, and then I added caer. They gave you caer, but I gave you 3 separate lines because I want you to be sure that you know the different applications of caer. So, what other infinitives did you fill in above caer? Caer is one of the 5. Alright, so, Kayla, what one did you write on the first line?
Layer.
Layer, what does it mean?
To read.
To read. What did you put on the second line, Tatum? I'm sorry? Caer. Caer, what does it mean? To believe. What did you write on the third line, Marisol? Weird. And what does it mean? To hear. Did you put an accent mark over the I of the infinitive? That is so unusual, right? It is so unusual to have an accent mark over the I of an infinitive. And it's there to accomplish the very same thing that we're trying to accomplish with these verbs in the preterite. And what's on the 4th line there, please, Eric? Construir, and that means what? To build. Okay, now these are model verbs. There are others that fit in here. If you know the rule, then when you run across a verb that has similar characteristics, you are going to know that you have to do the same thing. But first, let's talk about that verb oir. Now, the reason I want to talk about the verb oir is because the circumstances that exist in the infinitive oir are the same circumstances that are created when we try to conjugate this list of verbs. Okay? So this verb, I'm picking this one out because it has that accent mark over the I of the infinitive. Now we know that the ending is the last 2 letters of any verb. Okay, the last two letters, the AR, ER, or IR form are part of the verb. And everything else that's left is called the stem. Oh, I defined it for you anyway, even though you told me I didn't need to. Sorry. Okay, got me. Okay, so this verb is unique in that it's so short. Okay, we get rid of the infinitive ending, and we have just one letter left. But it fits the criteria for the verbs that we're talking about here. It's an IR verb whose stem ends in a vowel. That's what we have here. Now, we're going to look at this particular verb because it has an accent mark over the I. Do you know why it has an accent mark over the I? We've talked about this concept multiple times, but each time we see it, it takes us a minute to remember the concept. Turn to your partner and tell him or her why this infinitive has an accent mark over the I. Go. All right, who would like to tell all of us, who would like to be brilliant today and tell us all why there's an accent mark over the I of a weird? All right, Eric, thank you for being brave. Exactly, to keep the O and the I from creating a diphthong. Any combination in Spanish, any combination of a strong vowel and a weak vowel side by side forms a diphthong. And a diphthong is a blend of sounds. Let me say it again. Any combination of a strong vowel and a weak vowel in Spanish forms a diphthong. And a diphthong is a blend of sounds. That means that we're going to blend the sounds of those two vowels. Okay, now some of you might be thinking, okay, I don't know what the strong vowels and the weak vowels are. You've heard me say this before, but it's so cute. I'm going to say it again. Now, the truth is that A, E, and O are strong, and U and I are weak. The way to remember it is you and I are weak, everyone else is strong. You and I are weak, everyone else is strong. You and I are weak, everyone else is strong. That's how you remember which ones are the strong vowels and which ones are the weak vowels. So what happens here is we have a strong vowel and a weak vowel side by side. And they're going to blend their sounds, and it would become or. So we, as Eric rightly said, we're going to put an accent mark over that I to keep those two sounds from blending. What did we do when we put the accent mark over the I? What did we do to it? We did what? Okay. I thought you were going to be really... Okay. What did we do to the I when we put the accent mark over it? We made it strong. We made it strong. By putting an accent mark over it, we made it strong. Now that it's strong, it can no longer blend with the O because it's two strong vowels. Okay, that's why we did that. Now that's foundational understanding that's going to help you understand and remember why we make the changes that we make to these verbs in the preterite. So now let's just take another verb that we are more familiar with. Let's take leer. Okay? And leer, the ending is ER. The stem is LE. If we were to conjugate leer in the preterite tense as if we didn't know the rule, we're going to pretend we didn't know the rule. Then this verb would look like this in the preterite. If we applied all of the rules that we already know about conjugating in the preterite, this is what we would have, correct? We've had L-E-I with an accent, L-E-I-S-T-E, L-E-I-O with an accent, over the O, L-E-I-M-O-S, L-E-I-S-T-E-I-S, L-E-I-E-R-O-N, E-I-E-I-O, okay? You see this? This is what we would have. And if I asked one of you to read it aloud, you would read it aloud, leí, leíste, leo, leímos, leístes, leyeron. Because that's imprinted on your brain from conjugating any other E-R-I-R verb. But in fact, the pronunciation of these forms is leí, leíste, leo, leímos, leístes, leyeron. Okay? It doesn't sound anything like those preterite tense conjugated forms because we've blended the stem with the ending. Now, it's important for us to know where the stem ends and where the ending begins. Because it's the ending that tells us who did the action and what time frame the action was done in, and it's the stem that tells us what the action was. So we need a clear definition between the stem and the ending of the verb when we conjugate. Therefore, our rule tells us that in the third person, here we go, this is first, this is second, this is third person. In the third person, the I is going to change to Y. That's the spelling change, I to Y. And notice what we did. We made it easier to pronounce those words because we don't have 3 vowels in a row. This is leyó, and this is leyeron. And then every other form has an accent. Now, in the yo form, we always have an accent, so it's no big deal. But we're going to add an accent mark in the two forms, the nosotros and the vosotros forms. Why are we adding the accent mark in the other forms? Tell your partner. Okay, now Hannah, why are we adding an accent mark to those other forms? Okay, so the I becomes a strong vowel so that we're not forming a diphthong between the stem and the ending. Adding that accent mark does make it a strong vowel and helps us keep the stem separate from the ending. We're no longer confused about what the stem of the verb is or what the ending of the verb is. That's why we have this spelling change. Now, I don't know of any textbook that ever explains that to you. Okay, I know your own textbook does not explain that to you. But once you understand that concept, your spelling and your use of accents will improve greatly because you'll know when it occurs. You'll know why it occurs, and that you have to do it yourself. All right. Questions about this part of these spelling changing verbs? I'm losing you. You should see yourselves from this side of your faces right now. This is what you look like. Let me show you guys what they look. This is what they look like. Okay. I'm losing you. That was a lot of technical information. More than you wanted to know today. I get that. But for those of you who are going on, this is an important concept to remember because it's going to occur in other places as well. Yes, ma'am? Who's the recording for? You are non-entities. They don't know who you are. This is for Leah Klein and Audrey Schaefer. They take Spanish 3 independently during my 6th hour Spanish 2 class. And so they were missing out on all the really good stuff, the good explanations that don't come in the textbook and all that stuff. So we decided to try to do some webcasting. And so this becomes a video that I upload to YouTube. And I've had students who were absent say, hey, would you share those with me as well? Well, I know if you're really geeked, you miss me over spring break, you can go out on YouTube and you can look up Laura Howell and you would find my channel where I have uploaded all of these videos. Okay? I'm getting better and better at it. They're kind of dumb. But they're supposed to, this camera is supposed to eventually be mounted up here so that they can actually read the board, because they can't read the board with this video, and it's really hard. But I can't bring the camera out here because the cord's not long enough. And the tech people won't let me just go buy a cord. They need to do it, they need to install it, you know, because like I can't handle that. So, all year we've been waiting for them to do that. Okay, so that's who that's for. But now, some other people in this class who've been absent have asked, could you share those with me? All you have to do when you've been absent, if you think there might be a video out there, is to, just ask me. Send me an email. Is there a video out there about that? All right. Now let's look at caer saying caer plus an indirect object pronoun. Did taking these notes help you distinguish the difference between these three forms of this verb? You don't know. You're asleep. What questions do you have? I can tell. Look at you. You should see yourselves. There's nothing more depressing to be a teacher in front of the class, teaching away with all your passion and all your heart, and have the class look like this. The worst feeling in the world. Okay, what questions do you have about caer say, and caer plus an indirect object pronoun? Yes, thank you, Tomas.
I caught the difference between caer with an indirect object pronoun and the others, but I don't know the differences between caer and caer.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Caer means to fall. Now, this is what leaves do. This is what temperatures do. This is what prices do. They fall. Caer say means to fall down, as in to have an accident, like what a person does. Okay? Are you with me? Okay? And caer plus an indirect object pronoun is a specialized idiomatic phrase which means, I don't know, to strike you, to fall, not with your fists, but to create a certain kind of impression on you. And me cae bien, I like him. Me cae mal, I don't like him. Okay, this is how we express liking for people. And we can also use it for an opinion on clothing. You can say, oh, esa blusa me cae bien. Can you not? You can also say that. Like, ooh, I like that blouse. It strikes me well. Okay? It gives me a good opinion of itself. Alright, me cae bien. Yes, Eric.
So does this have any parallels to to fall in love with someone?
To fall in love with someone. No. I like that idea. That's a great idea, but to fall in love is enamorarse. Okay. Now, we have a verb like that in English as well. It comes from the same Latin root as enamorarse. Enamorarse is to fall in love. Enamorarse de is to fall in love with someone. Okay? Hace 35 años me enamoré de Tomás. Okay, 35 years ago I fell in love with Tom. Okay? That's the way I would use that. Not that guy. He wasn't alive 35 years ago, children. You realize my husband and I have been married longer than twice as long as some of you have been alive. Think about that concept. Okay? It's kind of weird to think about we've been married that many years. Good for us. Okay? Good for us. Good for Tom and Laura. Yeah. Okay. His point. To be enamored of is a very antiquated phrase in English that means to be in love with. And to fall in love is enamorarse de. Me enamoré de. I fell in love with. Okay? Or cada otra semana me enamoro de otro muchacho. Every other week I fall in love with a different boy. Okay? That's enamorarse de. Right? Yes, ma'am.
When you're saying to like a person, do you like this
No, usually to talk about liking a person, we're going to use caer with the indirect object pronoun. So, me cae bien, I like him.
But do you like, would it be like with an N at the end of it, like if you put the star?
Oh, if you're talking about more than one person, right. Mis amigos me caen bien. O esos dos muchachos me caen bien. Yes. If you are talking about more than one person, it will be me caen, nos caen. You're going to change that first pronoun to another indirect object pronoun and change the form of the verb caer. Alright, now you notice that I gave you a lot of space to write out the conjugations of the verb. Close the packet up and look at the back page. Did I hear somebody go, oh, there's the back page. You're supposed to write some model sentences. Alright, everybody hold up their packet and show me the back of their packet. You weren't full. Oh, some of you were. So there are a lot of you who don't have anything on the back here. You really need to write out some sentences to assure yourself that you know how to use the non-reflexive form of caer, the reflexive form of caer, and the form of caer with an indirect object pronoun that states your opinion of a person. You need to do those things. Okay? This is for you. Now, remember that my motive in producing this for you is to help you make that transition from copying every word that's in the textbook or every word that's on a presentation to notes that make sense to you and are useful to you. Now, these are guided Cornell notes. I set it up for you to get what I think is important stuff out of there. But you'll notice that I didn't do any presentations on the screen. That was to keep you from copying things from the screen. Okay? Some of you still may have copied this information word for word from the textbook, but I also added extra information that wasn't in the textbook, and hopefully you found a way to put it into these notes. At some point, you have to make that transition from copying every word of something that you think is expert information to putting it into a format that allows you to read and know the information. Now, my plan was for us to do some activities today, but we didn't get there. That's okay, but we didn't get there. Okay? But you're going to do packet activities 17 through 20 for homework tonight, and those are the grammar activities in the packet. You're finishing the packet. And you're doing the grammar activities, and they're related to this information. Okay? Now, let's look at them to be sure that you know what to do. Read over the instructions for each of those sections and tell me if you have any problems understanding what it is that you're supposed to do.